I'm often asked about toys and their role in development. And we constantly get told how very important toys are, especially by the toy manufacturers. And they definitely are an important tool in helping your child develop. But I would like to keep reminding parents that toys are only just tools. More important than the toys is the interaction that your child is going to have, and mostly with you, not so much with their playmates at this age, that's going to help build those cognitive skills and social skills. There are two reasons that interaction with you is the most important. The first, as we've so often mentioned, is that your child is absolutely primed from birth to interact with you. They're primed to look at your face, to pick up on your social cues, on your facial cues, to know what you smell like, what you look like. But the second thing that we often don't think about is that when you give a child a toy, they are very likely to play with it in pretty much the same fashion over and over. And without realizing it, when a parent sits and plays with a child, you're going to show them different ways of playing with that toy. You might do things in a different way, and you are also, with your facial expressions and getting excited about what they do with a toy, they are going to learn to just explore it a little bit further. There are so many wonderful toys out there that it's difficult to try and guide parents as to what to do or what to look for. But in my mind, there are about 4 classic types of toys that you can't really go wrong with. For me, those are blocks, and balls are always a good one, puzzles, and books. Books. You can never have too many books. So let's have a very quick look at the blocks. Whenever I look at buying toys, there are 3 things that are important for me. It's that they are appealing, that they have educational value, and that they address more than one area of learning. And blocks definitely do that. And they have a 4th added value that few toys have, is the longevity of blocks. If you have a good quality set of wooden blocks, you can play with them for years and you can extend them. So if you were to buy box sets of blocks for your child, I would encourage parents to just take out a few initially when your child is young and have them explore those and really play with those. And as your child gets older, you can add more and more blocks to what they play with and what they do. So amazing about blocks is that they're so diverse. You can use them for 100 things. You can use them to learn to count. You can use them for those early numeracy skills. How many do I have if I put these 3 together? If I take one away, how many do I have? Blocks usually come in all sorts of different colors. You can teach your child about colors. Sometimes they have different shapes. They might be different sizes. You can stack them up and you can knock them down again. And that's so important for your child to learn about gravity and about cause and effect. They're fabulous for creative play. So again, with different shapes, you can build all sorts of different things, and you can build little cities and bridges and beautiful things. And then let's have a quick look at books. So I can talk about books for ages, so I'm just going to try and stick to the most important things here. But it's absolutely vital to any play area. For so many different reasons, again, builds vocabulary when you read to your child and their language skills. It's very important when your child listens to you read, they become awareness of different sounds and the rhythms in your voice, the pitch, the rhyme of rhyming words, which are so important for future success in reading and in literacy development. Books contain knowledge. That's amazing. So you can learn about different things through books. Having a book and learning to go through it, whether it's with you or whether it's on their own, teaches concentration skills. It even supports fine motor control. We might not think about it because it comes naturally to us as adults. But having to sit with a book and take a page and grasp it together in order to turn it is quite a difficult skill. So very good for those little hands and those muscles to practice those skills. And then, again, so importantly, just reading and having books encourages a love for reading. And when you have a love for reading, that's the basis for having a love for learning. And learning is a lifelong thing. We never need to stop learning. So there definitely is a how to reading with little ones. You will probably find that if you take a very young child and sit and read with them, you're only going to have their attention for a few minutes and then they're going to be off. So what I usually encourage parents to do is, with little children, have them sit on your lap so that you can both concentrate on the book together, and you can show and point to different things and they can see where you're reading. You want to start reading as soon as possible. As young as your child is, you can start reading to them already, but make very sure that those books are age appropriate. Again, very long books or books that even have too many illustrations might overwhelm them slightly. When you read and turn the pages, your child, remember to do that quite slowly. We might focus on things quite quickly, but it might take your child a while to look at something and to find all the detail in it. So make sure you go at a pace that actually works for them. Read the story in sections. So again, little children can't really concentrate on a story for long. So I will initially just look through the pages with a child. The second time we read, I will read maybe the first half of the story, or even the first third. Then at another time the second bit, and so on, until we can sit and read the entire book together. Because more than likely, if it's a book that your child enjoys, you're going to be reading that book over and over and over. And if your child shows an interest, what you might want to do is also then leave them to explore a book on their own. So have them sit down, have them sit somebody where they can just read undisturbed, and keep in mind that actually turning the pages, like we've said before, is difficult. So with little ones, you might want to get board books, or even those nice plastic, those thick plastic books that they can read in the bath. The third thing is balls, and you can never go wrong. Any shape, any size, as many as you can muster all together, because they're so important for gross motor development and for your coordination, for your balance. But we often don't realize that they also teach children to work together. When you're playing a ball game, children have to work together, and they often have to wait their turn. Very, very little babies even can play with balls. You might initially want to just use a ball to grab their attention and then have them track that ball visually. That's very good for their eye movement and to teach the two sides of the body to work together. You will see when you have a very little baby that they might be able to grab onto a ball, but grabbing is a hand function that develops way before they learn to let go. So your baby might grab a ball and then have it in their hand for a while. Don't expect them to be able to let go or to throw for a little while still until their hands get better and get a little bit stronger. When babies start crawling, of course, then it starts getting a lot more fun. You can put the ball further ahead for them so they can learn to crawl towards the ball, or even to crawl after the ball as it rolls away. And that's going to help strengthen their core and that shoulder girdle, make them a little bit stronger. And at the same time, you're working at spatial awareness and awareness of all the things around them and how everything fits together. As they get older, don't expect your child to be able to catch a ball in their hands immediately. We find that little ones will anticipate a ball, catch it with their arms, and then scoop it towards their chest to make sure that they stabilize that. So that's entirely age appropriate till the age of about 4 or 5. And after that only are children able to catch a ball in their hands away from their body. Again, as with the hand function and grasping and releasing, the same with catching and throwing. Your child will be able to catch a ball more accurately than they will be able to throw it. Throwing takes quite a long time to develop, because not only now have you got this ball that you need to manipulate, but you also have to figure out exactly how far to throw it and in which direction to throw it so it hits the target. So you might want to practice those skills a little bit. Then we get to puzzles. Puzzles. They're amazing because they do so many things at the same time. One of the most important things is that puzzles developed visual analysis and synthesis. And what I mean when I say that is that it helps your child to visually see how things come together, but also how they should be taken apart again, to see the parts and the whole. It helps them to analyze an entire picture, and later on they're going to be using those skills to put letters together to form a words, and also to break those letters up again when they're trying to figure out and to sound out a word and they're not sure what it is. Puzzles are absolutely great for spatial relationships, so we have a much better idea of above, next to, underneath when you have it all in one picture and you can see on your puzzle this piece goes next to that piece and they go together like that. Very good for teaching patience and persistence. I think any of us who've ever just given up on a puzzle or just walked away from it will understand this. So when you sit and work with a puzzle, even if you do it for a while and you come back again, very good at teaching them to persist with the task. And then also, it's one of the very few activities that still requires that they actually get to do things independently with puzzle building. So quite often you might find that a little one might not want you to interfere or to help with the puzzle. Quite often it's something they want to do on their own. Feedback, visual feedback. So this I see so often. A lot of children, when they start building a puzzle, they will have a quick look at the pieces that they have and start putting things together without ever looking back at the picture to make sure that they're on the right track and they're doing the right thing. When you teach your children to build puzzles, remind them to always make sure that they're doing the right thing. It teaches them problem-solving skills. So with a puzzle, there is one specific goal to achieve. We want to complete the puzzle, but there's so many different ways to get there. Some parents like to teach their children a specific method of building puzzles. My feeling is that you should leave your child to see where they start, and they can figure out from there, do they want to start within a specific color? Do they want to start with a specific character on the box? So let them see what works for them and how they figure out completing it. Very good for fine motor control, having to pick up those little pieces and to fit them in the right place. Very good for their hand muscles. And then, of course, for hand-eye coordination, to have the hands and the eye work together to actually get that piece to the place we need it to. And again, like with most of these things, there's a how-to, in my mind, for puzzle building. So the first thing we want to make sure is always make sure that the size of the puzzle that you're giving your child is age appropriate. Children have different skills at different ages, so you might have a little one who's able to build a very big puzzle already, but more or less the guideline is that at the age of about 3 or 4, children are able to build between a 20 and a 35-piece puzzle. First, when they start building puzzles, you might want to get those nice big chunky puzzles. And I found that the ones with the knob puzzles are specifically important because it might be very difficult, even though the pieces are chunky, it might be difficult to get them out of the board. So look for something your child can grab. Another important thing to look for that's often missed is that with young children, you might want to make sure that the place where the puzzle piece goes into has exactly the same picture as the puzzle piece itself. Because young children won't be able to look at the outside shape and see where that piece should go. And sometimes puzzle manufacturers miss that point, so look out for that. You might want to start just with a few pieces, and then from there you can slowly move them to the bigger jigsaw type puzzles where they can put in all the little pieces. You'll see a lot of trial and error building in the beginning. It's very difficult not to interfere, but let your child do that because even that is a learning process. You want to first teach them, especially with jigsaw puzzles, to turn all the pieces over. I often see that children try and build puzzles purely from the shape. You need to be able to see the picture to know where it goes. And always remind them to look back, like we said about that feedback. Look back at the picture so you know what it is that you're building. There's just, as an interesting tip, and it's entirely up to you whether you want to do it or not, but what I like to do is always to put the picture on the left-hand side and have your children build the puzzle on the right-hand side. Because what that does is it teaches them to work from left to right all the time. And if we do that with tasks, we find that children are much better at learning to read from left to right in that order. Then, as we go through all of these toys, and again, it's up to you to decide which ones you like, probably which ones you get for presents from grannies and everybody who loves your child so much. But if you can get these four types of toys, I think you've got a good founding.